It has been 1 month since Mrs. Kim died. Taehyung had changed a lot. At first, he had cried all night because he missed his mom, but now he had completely healed, and also his cold behavior. He had changed only for Jungkook. Still, he is the same cold CEO for the world. Now he is waiting for Jungkook. Jungkook came to his office every day to bring his lunch. While he was daydreaming about his husband, someone knocked at the door. He already knew it was, so he said, "Come in a soft tone." The door opened, revealing Jungkook with a bright smile on his face, and that smile was enough to make his day better. He also smiled and stood up from his seat and hugged Jungkook. Then they broke the hug and went to couch to eat their lunch. They ate their lunch while talking and laughing. After their lunch, Jungkook and Taehyung talked for some time, and now Jungkook was about to go but stopped when Taehyung called him. "Taehyung, Jungkook." Jungkook turned around. "Taehyung, I only have some files to complete, so if you don't mind, let's go home together." Jungkook smiled and nodded. Then Taehyung started to work. Jungkook sat on the couch playing with his phone. Time skips. Now Taehyung was done with his work. He looked at Jungkook. He was sleeping on the couch peacefully. Taehyung went towards him and bent down to his level. Then he stared at his face. His lips curved into a smile. Then Taehyung stood up and laid beside him. He cuddled with him and slept. After some time, Jungkook woke up from his sleep, and he blushed, noticing that he is cuddling with his husband. Jungkook looked up to see Taehyung sleeping like a baby. He let out a small chuckle. He pecked his lips, then Taehyung pouted more in sleep. Jungkook smiled and snuggled more into his chest. Then he looked at his watch. It was 9 p.m., so he decided to wake him up. Jungkook called him, but he didn't wake up. As always, after some time, he woke up. Taehyung slowly opened his eyes. "Jungkook, I want to get up." Taehyung looked at him in confusion. "Taehyung, why are you saying this to me? You can get up yourself, right?" Jungkook looked at him in disbelief. "Jungkook, how can I get up when you are holding me?" That's when he realized that his hands is still holding his waist. Taehyung smiled awkwardly, then he stood up from the couch. Jungkook also got up and said, "Jungkook, now let's go home." Taehyung, "Okay, let's go." Then both of them went towards their car. While going, Jungkook noticed that it's not right way to their home. Jungkook, "Tae, aren't we going to our home?" Taehyung, "No, I'm taking you for a small dinner date." Jungkook smiled and looked outside. Now they are in a restaurant. Taehyung pulled a chair for Jungkook like a gentleman. Then they ordered foods for them. Jungkook was lovingly watching Taehyung with a smile on his face. When Taehyung looked up, saw Jungkook staring at him, so he asked Taehyung, "Is there anything on my face?" He started touching his face to know if there is anything on his face. Jungkook chuckled and said, "Jungkook, there's nothing there." Then they continued eating. After some time, they finished eating and went towards their house. Sometime later, they reached their house. Taehyung looked at Jungkook, who was sleeping peacefully. He got out from the car and went towards Jungkook. He picked him carefully without waking him up and went towards their room. They laid him on the bed and tucked him with blankets, then pecked his forehead and went to change his dress and to do his night routine. After he is done, he laid beside Jungkook and pulled him closer and slept cuddling with him. Time skips to morning. Jungkook woke up, but he didn't see Taehyung beside him. He pouted and stood up from the bed and saw a note on the nightstand. He took it and started reading it. "I'm sorry, Jungkook. I have an important meeting, so we have to work on it. You were sleeping peacefully, so I didn't want to wake you up. And don't worry, I had my breakfast. See you at the company in the afternoon. Your husband." He smiled and caressed the word your husband. After some time, he did his morning routine and went downstairs to make breakfast for him. He was feeling so bored, so he decided to watch some movies. After finishing it, he decided to make lunch for them. Time skips. Now he is packing lunch for them, ready to go to his husband's company. After done packing lunch, he went towards their company with his driver. Now he reached their company, and as usual, he went towards the receptionist. She bowed to him. Jungkook smiled and asked, Jungkook, is Mr. Kim free now? Receptionist, yes, he is free now. He just finished a meeting. Now he is in his cabin. He smiled at her and went from the to Taehyung's cabin. Without knocking, he went inside. Taehyung was talking with someone. Taepo, I was talking with my business partner, but my mind was full of Jungkook. I was waiting for Jungkook. Then suddenly someone opened the door. I looked up to see Jungkook smiling while holding our lunchbox. I smiled and stood up from my seat and went towards him. Then I called my business partner. Dear Mr. Park. He was already looking at us. I was about to say something but cut it off by their shouting. Jungkook, Mr. Park, Jungkook. Then they hugged each other. Not gonna lie, I felt really jealous. I waited for some time for them to break their hug, but they didn't, so I fake coughed. As I expected, they broke the hug and looked at me. Jungkook, this is my childhood friend. They have made an O face. Mr. Park, how have you been, Cook? Jungkook, great. What about you? Mr. Park, me too. But what are you doing here? Jungkook, oh, I came here to bring lunch for him. He looked at me confused. I understood, so I laughed and said, Jungkook, he is my husband. Jimin, what? Your husband? You didn't even call me to your wedding. He pouted. Jungkook, how can I call you when I don't have your number? They both were seeing each other for a long time, so they had so many things to talk about. They both had completely forgot about Taehyung, who was standing there while burning in jealousy. They both were talking and laughing, completely ignoring Taehyung. He was feeling like being third wheel between them, but Taehyung understood that they would have a lot of things to talk about since they didn't have any contact with each other for a long time. So he just sat in his chair. He didn't feel like doing anything because of his jealousy. Now he just wanted Jimin to go from there. After some time, Jungkook and Jimin is still talking. Taehyung was looking at Jungkook with a pout. Seeing them both close to each other, talking and laughing, he couldn't control his jealousy. After fighting with himself for some time, he cleared his throat. They didn't hear it because they were so into their talk. He cleared his throat more loudly, but still they didn't hear it. He sighed annoyingly and went towards them and stood in front of them. Then again cleared his throat. Both of them looked at him. Jungkook could say that he is jealous by looking at his face. He laughed internally. Taehyung, sorry for the disturbance, but Mr. Park, if you don't mind, can you leave? I want to have my lunch with my husband. Jimin understood that he is jealous, so he smirked and said, Jimin, oh, there's no problem, Mr. Kim. I will leave now. Jimin turned to leave, but before leaving, he whispered something to Jungkook. He laughed and Jimin went from there. Jungkook turned around to face Taehyung, but gasped when he pinned him on the couch. Taehyung, what was that, huh? Jungkook, what? He innocently asked while looking at Taehyung with his doe eyes. Taehyung, acting innocent now, Jungkook started laughing, but some seconds later he stopped laughing when he saw Taehyung leaning towards him, leaving no gap between them. Taehyung smirked. Taehyung, why did you stop laughing? Jungkook started getting nervous. Jungkook, Tae, what are you doing? Taehyung didn't say anything, started leaning more closer. Their lips were almost touching. Jungkook closed his eyes. He could feel Taehyung's hot breath. Then he felt Taehyung's soft lips on his. Taehyung kissed him. Without wasting any time, he also kissed him back. It was gentle and passionate, with full of love. After some time, they both kissed and looked at each other. Taehyung removed his hair, which was hiding his beautiful eyes. Taehyung, I love you. Cook smiled. Jungkook, I love you too, Taehyung. And from now on, don't even try to get close to any guys. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, okay, boss. Taehyung smiled and pecked his lips and got up from the couch. Taehyung, come, let's eat our lunch.